Hi, fourth graders. Mrs. Oliver here. I'm going to go over some comprehension skills that has to do with our story. Unit 2, Week 1, the Fisherman and the Kaha bird, and you can find this in your Floppy book on pages 94 through 97. After reading the story, we are introduced to a fisherman who is very poor and having a difficult time catching enough fish to make a living. The Kaha bird swoops down and decides to help the fisherman. The Kaha bird helps the fisherman to a point where he's making a steady amount of money and able to buy his wife some nice fabric, and they're having a much better life. However, the king in the story proposes a kind of challenge to anyone that can capture the Kaha bird will receive 50 bags of gold. This puts the fisherman in a unique dilemma. He's deciding whether he should betray the bird, who has been very kind and helped him, or he should take the 50 bags of gold. He decides to try for the 50 bags of gold and asks 400 men to ambush the Kaha bird with him. The Kaha bird does get away by flying really high into the sky. The fisherman falls. He is injured for many, many weeks and goes back to being poor. This story's genre is folktale, and folktales very often have animals in them that have symbolism that humans may experience. For example, the Kaha bird symbolizes generosity. Just being kind, the Kaha bird chooses to help the fisherman. However, the fisherman's greed takes over and he betrays the bird. Another reason we know it's a folktale is because it teaches a lesson. Obviously, the fisherman made a poor choice and he is paying for it in the end. One of the questions you may ask yourself is, why is the fisherman poor in the first place? I'm going to reread the beginning of the text to find some text evidence to lead me to the answer of that question. It says, long ago there lived an old fisherman who made his pitiful living catching fish. All day the old man sat on the riverbank waiting for the fish to bite, but he never had more than 1 or 2 small fish to sell at the market. He and his wife were always hungry. So the fisherman was poor because he wasn't a very good fisherman. The text told me that he only caught 1 or 2 fish. It also told me that his family was hungry. So 2 things are occurring. The fisherman isn't able to make a lot of money at the market selling fish because he only has 2 to sell. And then him and his wife are also hungry because he's not catching enough fish to sell and then also bring home to eat himself. So by using that evidence, I can guide myself towards answering questions by putting the clues together. The comprehension skill for this week is theme, which is kind of like what we learn at the end of the story, the lesson or the moral. So we know that the fisherman learned that choosing to be greedy leads to loss. At the beginning of the story, the fisherman is helped by the Kaha bird. Remember that the bird does this just out of kindness to give the fisherman enough to make a little bit at the market and then not to be hungry, him and his wife to not be hungry anymore by the amount of fish that they are catching. However, the fisherman is then hearing the king's reward of 50 bags of gold coins. Upon hearing that reward, the fisherman is kind of struggling with whether he wants to betray the bird or get the gold coins. And he chooses to get the gold coins, which leads us to this clue. He chooses to betray the bird and ambushes it with $400 men. So knowing how he felt at the beginning, and then at the end when he chooses to give in to his greed, he goes right back to the beginning where he didn't have a whole lot and wasn't catching a lot of fish and was always hungry. Hope this helped you on your Floppy story this week. Have a great day. See you soon.